trap all day and night.
Hey, wake up, bro.
Happy New Year, folks. As we know, we entered into 2025. The transfer market / transfer window is open for business. Now, granted, at the time of making this video, it is only the 6th of January. Nonetheless, Arsenal Football Club, where are the signings? Now, maybe I'm exaggerating and I could be wrong. Let me know. Am I wrong for asking Arsenal to sign new players in January? Am I wrong for asking for new signings? Am I wrong for believing Arsenal need to act in the window? Leave a comment and let me know. Like all Arsenal fans during the transfer window, I spend a great amount of time scrolling over the internet, looking at various transfer rumors and becoming enticed by these potential rumors coming true, while simultaneously hoping that Fabrizio Romano or David Ornstein drop their bombshells and provide some credible links. Now, we all know how tough the January market is, but is that an excuse, especially with Bukayo Saka's injury? Can we afford to not make a move? Can we afford to not sign anyone? Sadly for Arsenal, we drew 1-1 with Brighton in our recent Premier League game. We can debate the penalty. We could, have some kind words about VAR and the inconsistent refereeing. We could talk about if it's a penalty or not. Fundamentally, we dropped points. On the pitch, it is bleak at this moment in time. We have drawn for the 7th time in the league this season. 5 of those draws have been from winning positions, people. That would mean that we have now dropped points in 9 of our opening 20 Premier League matches this season. At the time of making this video, 2 losses, 7 draws, and 11 victories. Arsenal have also failed to win 4 of their past 9 Premier League games when leading at half-time. Before that run, we had rattled off 22 victories in a row when in front at the interval. So something has stopped at Arsenal. There's been a bit of a blip. Potentially, there could be some regression. It's all fun and games, laughing at Liverpool potentially dropping points against Manchester United, doing the mathematics about when and if Arsenal could catch up to Liverpool in the Premier League race. But the reality is injuries are mounting and we have a depleted squad. Arteta even sounded quite coy on young Ethan, who, as you know, came off at half-time against Brighton. Previously, Mikel Arteta has spoken about the need to maximize every transfer market, and he's also spoken about the size of our squad at 2 different points last year, at the start and the end. He did also mention in his press conference we're playing every 3 days. Illness on top of injuries has now halted our side and put a bit of a buffer. Can we really afford not to sign anybody in the January transfer window, regardless of how easy or difficult it might be to pry targets away? From what is clear, we don't have enough difference makers. You look at Trossard, Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus, they're all struggling at the moment or having various different sort of inconsistencies. As young 17-year-old Ethan was our brightest player against Brighton, and let's have it right, we didn't create enough against Brighton, and that has been a theme. Of course, there's a deeper debate regarding Mikel Arteta's spending when it comes to attacking options, people. Could these comments come back to bite Arsenal and Mikel Arteta? By no means am I trying to catch the manager or the players or the recruitment staff out. I'm just an Arsenal fan, and I have to take your word for gospel. When your managers previously come out here and mentioned in several occasions, we've got to maximize the windows and been quite bullish in that regards. When at the start and end of 2024, he said we have one of the smallest squads. What has changed? If we keep doing the same things again and again, what is going to change? And I know it's easier said than done, but it does always feel like there's always excuses. It always feels like there's this mythical player that nobody knows, who it really is. And if we don't sign him, there's no one else on the market. And I don't want players signed for no reason or for the sake of it. With the greatest of respect to Neto and Sterling, is there really that few players to pick from that can improve that squad that leaves us rambling on the deadline day for players of that ilk? Then I think that's excuses. I must admit, people. I have to admit. Now, we did hear there was a bit of austerity measures during the recent summer window. We heard a lot about PSR and FFP and the need to balance books, in which, from a business point of view, you need to do that. When you look at this article from the finance expert Steph Barson, forgive me if I'm for mispronunciation, on Football Insider, and I'll read it out for you lot, and I would love to hear your thoughts. It makes you look at what we're doing a bit differently. Bearing in mind, reports came out that were quite bullish that the only restrictions Arsenal have in the market are those that they'll place on themselves. But he said Arsenal have plenty of profit and sustainability capacity to agree new signings in the January transfer window. That is the view of finance expert Stefan Bolson, who exclusively told Football Insider the North London club could agree a 50 million transaction over the next 5 years without their owners needing to put any money in. As you know, Arsenal were dealt a crushing blow when it was revealed Bukayo Saka will miss the next few months with a hamstring injury. Football Insider revealed on the 30th of December, Emirates Chiefs have decided to explore a move for another forward player after the winger underwent surgery. Mikel Arteta spent more than 90 million in the summer window on permanent additions of Calafiori, Romano, David Raya, while Neto and Raheem Sterling joined on loan. They have got a lot of capacity on PSR. They are now starting to admit that apparently. I think they used it tactically, that they had the PSR issue when negotiating with other teams. It's never really been true when you look at their numbers. They've always had loads of capacity on PSR and continue to do so. So it's not a PSR issue. They would need money to be put in if they did a very substantial deal, but something that was relatively small over the next 5 years, something that was a 50 million transaction over 5 years, would probably only need 10 to 20 million of cash put in the early stages of that transaction. That's something they could handle without the owners putting their hands in their pocket. They're in a very good financial position. If they need to buy a player, they can buy a player. Now, where do you make of that, people? Again, I'm not saying buy players for no reason. Of course, that means, the Isaacs and those big money additions ain't going to happen. But it, simply put, scouts do your job. Half these players that we waffle about have to start somewhere. If you've got that wiggle room, can you really not find a profile that can uplift us? I would love a striker. I would love a midfielder that's very different. A left eight, a Santi Cazorla regen. I believe the priority, owing to Bukayo Saka's injury and us simply put carrying a lot of our attackers, has to be an inside forward. Once again, Mikel Arteta spoke about maximizing every window and having the smallest squad. That has to change, people, in my humble opinion. At the end of the day, who knows, Arsenal fans? I still maintain there's a bunch of reasons to be positive. There's a bunch of reasons to be negative, which for me means it's a mixed bag of items, really. As I said, who knows, man? But one thing's for certain, it's one thing talking about transfers, it's another dealing with the football that we have to play. We've got a difficult run of fixtures. The games are coming really thick and fast. We're going to need everybody across this football club to stand up to be counted. So let's try to be positive. Let's consider the negatives and try to move forward from them and see where it takes us.